good evening, classmates. Good evening, ma'am. So our topic for tonight is Science, Technology, and Society Historical Scene, prepared by Ronald F. Cass, Erica Shane Acabado, and Marinel Ergode. So here are the brief historical background of scene and technology in the Philippines. The pre-colonial period. Even before the Spain colonized the country, some indigenous science and technology has already existed with regards to agriculture like farming, animal raising, and utilization of plants and herbs as medicines. The use of technology is evident in the handicrafts, pottery, weaving, and tools used by ancient Filipinos in their everyday life. Innovation and ingenuity were unmistakable by the way native Filipinos built the rice terraces by hand. They also developed tools for painting, hunting, cooking, fishing, and also for fighting enemies during tribal conflicts. They used indigenous technology in building houses, irrigations, and transportation, both on land and on waterways. The ancient practices, science, and technology by our ancestors are now considered as indigenous science or folk science. So, in pre-colonial period, it simply tackles about the technology that was already existed in their times, but that technology is not that modernized. So we call it as indigenous science or folk science. So here we will go to the colonial period, which is the Spanish colonization paved way to modern means of construction. Roads, bridges, churches, and other large infrastructure were built with more sophistication using some engineering skills and tools brought by the Spaniards. In addition, Spanish colonizers developed health and education system in the country. The American colonial rule modernized almost all aspects of life in the country. They established the Bureau of Science to initiate the development in the field of science and technology. So, unlike from the pre-colonial period where we call it as the indigenous science or folk science, here in colonial period there is the word modernize. Yes, the technology or our colonizers gave us the idea on how we will construct an infrastructure wherein there is such new skills to put in. So, also the American colonial rule established the Bureau of Science to initiate the development. So, because of this Bureau of Science, the initiation of development was being done. So, here in the post-colonial period, after achieving independence from the colonial masters, the Philippines, under different administration, continued to pursue programs in science and technology. Each leadership has its own S&T agenda, science and technology agenda. However, it is important to note that some Philippine presidents introduced more developments in the field than others, which you will find out soon as you course through this topic. So, along the discussion, my group mates will talk about the administrations or the Philippine presidents that introduces more developments in the fields of science and technology. So here we come to the science, technology, and society. The intellectual roots of science, technology, and society lie in the history, philosophy, and social study of science and technology, an arena where often controversial issues and choices interface with values and influence public policy. Science, technology, and society prepares students to understand both technical and social dimensions of science and technology. Okay, alright, so it also helps them become more thoughtful and better informed citizen of our high-tech society, and last, develop their critical interdisciplinary thinking, research, and communication skills. So because of the science, technology, and society, all of the mentioned benefits will help us, or we will gain such knowledge about science, and because of science and technology, we will gain lots of knowledge. Another one is that science, technology, and society is a field interested in the nature of science and its place in the society. It is an interdisciplinary field that studies the conditions under which the production, distribution, utilization of scientific knowledge and technological system occur in the consequence of these activities upon different groups of people. Science, technology, and society is the interdisciplinary study of the interactions of science and technology with society and culture. The realization that discoveries, and inventions are shaped by historical forces and turn influence values, aspirations, events, and institutions, thus shaping this course of history. So because of science and technology and society, we are making history, and we are adding, because of such development, our history is being added. So science and technology have had a major impact on society. And their impact is growing. So because of science and technology, the society has growing independently or growing conveniently. By making life easier, science have given man the chance to pursue societal concerns such as ethics, aesthetics, education, and justice to create cultures and to improve human conditions. Advances in science and technology drive to the evolution of the weather and climate information system. The essence of how science and technology contributes to society and the creation of new knowledge, and then the creation of new knowledge and in the utilization of that knowledge to boost the prosperity of human lives and to solve the various issues facing societies. So because of this science technology, it helps the society to grow, to develop, to progress, and to make life more convenient, more easier, and more easy. So that will be all my topic. Along the way, my group mates will continue the discussion. So thank you very much.
Historical antecedents in the course of science and technology. Ancient times. In the historic instances, people were worried with transportation and navigation, verbal exchange and report preserving, mass production, safety, and in addition to fitness, aesthetics, and structure. Science and technology maintains on advancing as a way to meet the developing desires of humans alongside those areas. Due to the constant innovation delivered by means of science and technology, which has the sole purpose of improving lives and making the work less difficult, quicker, and efficient, our society responds by the way of changing us nicely. These modifications are obvious as every ancient civilization hold on growing technology that has been changed and that is being used nowadays. To name some, Sumerian is understood for his or her contribution with a primary writing device referred to as cuneiform. Challenged to mass-produce mills, they invented plowing, irrigation, and dikes, and wheels for farming. Throughout the life of this civilization, their important mode of transportation changed into through waterways inclusive of rivers and seas. They are also known to increase the front avenue. On the other hand, Babylonian civilization, which emerged near Tigris and Euphrates River, had been famous for being extremely good builders, engineers, and architects. One of the essential contributions is the placing lawn of Babylon, which one of the 7 wonders of the arena. Another civilization that is known for its renowned archaeological artifact like the Demis Mask of Tutankhamun and Pyramid of Giza is the Egyptian civilization. Also, ancient Egyptians are recognized for their earlier contributions like water clock or clepsydra, paper or papyrus, ink, and the system of writing called hieroglyphics. They have additionally invented cosmetics for cultural cause. Meanwhile, all through this time, wigs were worn out with the aid of wealthy Egyptians to defend the shape of their heads from the harmful rays of the solar. Apart from being the birthplace of Western philosophy, a number of the essential achievements of Greeks include in-depth works on philosophy and mathematics. They also are celebrated for their contribution to the arena like Colosseum, Olympics, alarm clocks, and watermills. Perceived to be the most powerful political and social entity within the West, Roman Empire was considered to be the cradle of politics and governance. Other civilizations looked as much at it is as a model of terms of codified laws and rules. They also are celebrated for the discovery of newspapers, bound books, or codex. In terms of architecture and engineering, Romans are acknowledged for building difficult church buildings, basilicas, aqueducts, colosseums, amphitheaters, and homes. They have also devised their very own number machine that is the Roman numeral system. Considered to be the oldest civilization in Asia, China is understood for the silk change, tea manufacturing, gunpowder, and the dwelling legend Super Wall of China. Science and technology in Middle Age. The start of the Middle Ages was named by massive invasions and migrations. Wars are prevalent during this time. As such, great technology was needed in the fields of weaponry, navigation, food and farm production, and health. Some of the most innovative minds came from this period. Since the Middle Age was additionally called the Age of Exploration, the need for nautical inventions changed into excessive. The invention of the telescope, an optical tool that facilitates in the observation of far-off items, was a tremendous help for navigators for the durations of this time. Great improvement in the weaponry technology additionally occurred in this period. These include bow bows and lengthy bows. Additionally, in near variety hand-to-hand infantrymen must put on something to shield themselves, a need addressed by using the advent of iron frame armors. However, body armors have been heavy and restrained the actions of soldiers. Chain mail was invented to remedy the hassle. The wars have resulted to population decline. However, in the later part of this period, there was a significant increase in the population. Trade and commerce among nations increased, which resulted in greater demands for transportation technology. To facilitate record keeping, woodblock printing developed by Chinese was improved by the time of Johann Gutenberg with the cast-type printing press. This general invention soon evolved to the mechanical printing press, which was eventually used all over the world. The printing press was invented to address the need for publishing books that would spread information to many people at a faster rate. This invention also made works accessible to individuals who could not even write. Another invention in the Middle Age is the microscope. Growing populations caused massive migration and urbanization during the period. More and more people transferred to polluted and populated urban areas, which resulted in more people getting sick. With this, experts needed a device to study microorganisms in order to develop proper medicines for illnesses. Guided by the principles used for the invention of eyeglasses in earlier year, Zacharias Janssen was able to develop the first compound microscope. Science and technology in modern times. The booming international populace at some point of the 19th century onwards demanded that more items be produced at quicker change. People needed efficient means of transportation to change greater goods and cover a bigger distance. Machines that required animals to operate need to be upgraded. Faster and less complicated means to talk and compute have to be advanced to set up connection between and among countries. All these desires resulted in the development of industries. However, because of massive industrialization, the modern instances again faced a greater complicated issues. Food processing and medicinal drug posed a number of bigger demanding situations, seeing that health become a first-rate concern. As people were able to develop better means of production to meet the needs of the population, food preservation and food safety became an issue. Louis Pasteur, a French biologist, microbiologist, and chemist, found a way to solve the problem. He invented pasteurization, the process of heating dairy products to kill the harmful bacteria that allows them to spoil faster. Through this process, milk could be stored and consumed for a longer period. It also prevented illnesses caused by harmful bacteria. Molecular asymmetry, fermentation, and vaccination were his other contributions to science and technology and medicine. The modern times demanded better means of powering homes and transportation. This led to the development of kerosene and the petroleum refinery industry. At present, petroleum is widely used in powering automobiles, factories, and power plants, among others. The more people got connected by trade and exploration, the more they needed a way to easily maintain these connections and communicate with each other in real time. Governments likewise needed some kind of communication system which would allow them to administer their states well. Thus, the invention of telephone by Alexander Graham Bell was one of the most important inventions at that time. Although an advanced version of the calculator had already been advanced, circumstances within the modern-day times required a quicker way to compute extra complicated equations. Computing devices ought to also be smooth to carry on the grounds that they might be utilized on a day-to-day foundation. The introduction of current calculators did no longer most effective paved the way for simpler arithmetic calculations, but additionally resulted within the development of extra complex processing machines like computer. Despite all its great changes and saga, the history of the world endures as long as humankind exists. This only means that in its efforts in the many years to come,
Filipino presidents and their contributions in the development of science and technology in the Philippines. Philippine presidents and the status of S&T during their administration. First is Carlos P. Garcia. He does experimental work and scientific research and established the National Science Development. Next, President Ferdinand Marcos, year 1965-1986, directed the Department of Education to revitalize the science courses in public high schools, channeled additional funds to support projects in applied sciences and science education. He proclaimed 35 hectares in Bicutan, Taguig, Rizal as a site of Philippine Science Community, scholarship for graduate and undergraduate science scholars and workshops on fisheries and oceanography, added the Philippine Coconut Research Institute to the NSDB to modernize the coconut industry. He enacted a law under Presidential Decree Number 1003 AS 1976 to establish the National Academy of Science and Technology. He enacted a law on the completion of the National Agriculture and Life Sciences Research Complex at the University of the Philippines at Los Baños, Executive Order Number 840 S 1982. He established the Mindanao and Visayas campuses of the Philippine Science High School to encourage careers in science and technology. Established other research institutes like PAG-ASA, National Grains Authority, Philippine Council for Agricultural Research, Philippine National Oil Company, among others. President Corazon Aquino, year 1986 to 1992. National Science and Technology Authority was replaced by the Department of Science and Technology. Science and technology's role in economic recovery and sustained economic growth was highlighted. Created the Presidential Task Force for Science and Technology, which came up with the first Science and Technology Master Plan, or STMP. She gave assistance to Filipino inventors through giving financial aid, patent, application assistance, legal assistance, and to help inventors market their products domestically and abroad. RA 6655, or the Free Public Secondary Education Act of 1988, opened doors to free education up to the secondary level. Science for the Masses program, which aimed at scientific and technological literacy among Filipinos. President Fidel V. Ramos, year 1992 to 1998. Significant increase in personnel specializing in the science and technology field. Addition of Philippine Science High School in Visayas and Mindanao. Government provided 3,500 scholarships for students who were taking up professions related to S&T. Schools were becoming more modernized and updated with the addition of high-tech equipment for students. Priority for S&T personnel increased when Magna Carta for Science and Technology Personnel, Republic Act No. 849 was established. Award was published in order to give incentives and rewards for people who have been influential in the field of S&T. Inventors and Inventions Incentives Act, or Republic Act No. 7459. Programs such as National Program for Gifted Filipino Children in Science and Technology. Enacted of a law creating a nationwide system of high schools specializing in the field of science and engineering, Science and Technology Scholarship Law of 1994. President Joseph Estrada, year 1998 to 2001, launched a full-scale program based on cost-effective irrigation technologies, establishment of one of science high school in every province, advancement of industries and schools into internet age, and passage of the E-Commerce Act. President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, year 2001 and 2010. The science and technology sector of the Philippines was dubbed as the Golden Age during her term. Numerous laws and projects that concerns both environment and science to push technology as a tool to increase the country's economic level. The term Philippine Innovation was the coined term used in helping the Philippines to be an innovation hub in Asia. Science, Technology, and Innovations STI was developed further by strengthening the schools and education system such as the Philippine Science High School, or PSHS, which focuses on science, technology, and mathematics in their curriculum. Imposes Republic Act 10601, which improves the agriculture and fisheries sector through mechanization, or AFMEC. President Benigno Simeon Aquino III, June 30, 2010 to June 30, 2016. The conclusion of a peace agreement with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front MILF in October 2012. Initiated K-12 education in the Philippines. Renamed the Office of the Press Secretary to Presidential Communications Operations Office and appointed the new officers. Suspended allowances and bonuses to government-owned and controlled corporations and government financial institution board members. Oversaw 7.1% growth of the Philippine economy in 2012. Honors 4 new national scientists. He signed the Balik Scientist Law, a Republic Act No. 11035, also known as an act institutionalizing the Balik Scientist Program. Filipino artists and their inventions. Dr. Arturo Alcaraz is a volcanologist specializing in geothermal energy development. In 1967, Arturo Alcaraz and team powered an electric light bulb using steam-powered electricity. This was the first geothermal power generated in the Philippines. 1988, Filipino chemist Julian Benson researched methods of producing alternative fuels. Julian Benson experimented with the production of ethyl esters fuels from sugarcane and coconut. Filipino scientist Pedro Escuro is best known for his isolation of 9 rice varieties, thus was renowned by developing rice breeding in the country. The Pedro Escuro rice varieties are Malpal 4 or HPT2, Azmil 26 and C22, and C18, C463, C4137, C168, and C12. Dr. Francisco Fronda is known as the father of poultry science in the Philippines. Francisco Fronda has improved methods of production for the poultry and livestock industry. Felix Maramba built a coconut oil-fueled power generator. He also is the developer of one of the world's most profitable biogas systems. 1906-1999, Filipino chemist Los Oliveros Bilardo researched the phytochemical properties of plants in the Philippines for natural products, essential oils, and medicinal qualities. Filipino scientist Emerita de Guzman researched the propagation of pure macapuno trees. Her research led to the faster propagation of pure macapuno trees and increased macapuno nuts productions from 3 to 5 macapuno nuts to 14 to 90 nuts in 1980. She also invented tissue culture techniques for the rapid propagation of abaca and banana plants. Filipino Dr. Fe del Mundo is credited with studies that lead to the invention of an improved incubator and a jaundice living device. Famous Filipino scientist Gregorio Zara made improvements to or discovered the following: invented the two-way television, telephone or video phone, 1955, patented as a photophone signal separated network, discovered the physical law of electrical kinetic resistance called the Zara effect around 1930, invented an airplane engine that ran on plain alcohol as fuel on 1952.